Welcome to episode 175 of Explode Your Expert Business Show, brought to you by gtex.org.uk. I'm your host, Simone Vincenzi, the Expert Strategist, and this is the podcast for experts who want to become the ultimate authority in their niche while making an impact in the world. And today I have the pleasure to interview our GTeX Lifetime Member, our speaker trainer and event coordinator, Caroline King. We have a saying in GTeX which says every business needs a Caroline in their lives. Everyone needs a Caroline. And I'm really blessed to have her as part of our team, as she brings in not only incredible value to every events that we do and to our organization, but also to all our lifetime members and the GTeX members to help them improve their speaking skills. In fact, we are recording this special episode, which is part of a training which is on our members area. And it's part of a training called Speak to Sell. In this particular training, we are teaching our members how to become professional speakers and how to behave professionally when they are hired from other event organizers, not for a paying fee, but to sell on other stages. And also this training can be used if you're having a speaking gigs which is not paid, and you can use it if not to sell, for generating leads. And there is an entire training in our membership site. You can find the link in the show notes for you to check it out and to join, which is only $47 a month if you want to join. And I decided to take a part of this training and make it free for you, so then you can experience the power of what we share behind the scene. And in particular, we are talking about the Speech Maker Matrix. It's an incredible matrix that Caroline has designed to create speeches and to help our members to create great speeches that can stand out, helps them stick to time, and also helps them convert and get consultation even if they don't have much time on the stage. And that's why you should listen and you should take notes. If you watch the video, which is on our website on gtex.org.uk/175, you can also watch the full YouTube video with the speech maker matrix and look at all the grids as they are there, so then you can be much more effective. But if you are on the road, just keep listening to the show. No problem about that. And if you're a speaker, this is a must for any speaker, because the more ways you know in terms of creating speeches, the more effective you can become, because you can be more flexible and adapt to different situations, which is what makes a great speaker great. You can connect with Caroline King on Facebook. There is her Facebook links here in the show notes. And if you like what we share and you want to become part of the GTeX member, become a GTeX member, part of the membership site or the members area, or you want to attend one of our events, let's jump on a call. Let's have a chat and see how we can help you the most. So you can, there is a link in the show notes, which is www.gtex.events/call. And in that link, you will be able to schedule that call, so you can we can get started and get you become an authority straight away. If you also want to create an eye-converting presentation, we have our Selling from the Stage checklist. If you haven't downloaded yet, the link is in the show notes. Great checklist to create a pitch that converts. And this is more tailored if you're selling something. And join our Facebook group if you haven't joined it yet, our Explode Your Expert Biz group, where every day we do training, opportunities to network, so you can expand your audience, expand your network, get in front of new people, and also connect with all the guests that we have on our show. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe right now. That's really important. Make sure you subscribe. And without further ado, let's start the music. Let's hear it from Caroline King, the Speech Maker Matrix. Right, ladies and gentlemen, after a quick outfit change, then as you can see right now, we have actually the GTeX t-shirts, but it's not about the Caroline is ecstatic about this. But this video is not about the GTeX t-shirts, which I'm really proud of. But this video is about helping you create a great speech. And why is that important? Because the better you are as a speaker, the more clients you will get. Very simple. You will stand out more people will give you opportunities, because there are so many speakers right now that a lot of them, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to build a speech that actually converts, and also that keeps people engaged, that keeps people entertained, and also that makes sense, and also sticks on time. So we realized that by listening to all the other speeches, there were some speakers that came with purpose to abundance as GTeX Lifetime members. Awesome, brilliant. And then there were other speakers that were like, this needs a bit of work. And a lot of people kept running over time as well. So what we decided to do is to give you a structure that you can use to create a speech that keeps you on time, that keeps people engaged, that keeps people entertained, and that converts at the same time. And that's what you have here, which is Caroline's Speech Maker Matrix. Now remember, before Caroline is going to explain how each box works, you want to be aware that in particular when you have a 30-minute speaking slot, is less about conversion, and also you might pick up people doing consultations, but is more about building your list and building your audience. You're playing the long-term game. Don't just look at the short-term game. Even myself, every time I'm on stage, I will make the call to action for people to do an application. But if they've met me for half an hour, their relationship with me is very, very, very tiny, ico-pico, which means it's going to be very difficult for them to make a decision of buying from me immediately, unless they know me already, or to even have a conversation with me to see how we can work together. And that's why there are going to be some people that will apply for the consultation, but then they will not show up. Why? Because they don't have this strong relationship with you yet. So see Purpose to Abundance as a way, yes, to get consultations, but also to build your list that you can invite to your free events, you can invite to your webinar, build a relationship with them, give them an online program that you have, and then get them through your funnel. That's what I wanted to give as a frame for this training. And now it's time for Caroline to explain how this speech maker matrix works, which is absolutely brilliant.
Okay, so as Simone said, almost see this as the first step. This is where you get that first engagement, and then you can build on it. So eventually you should be able to put them and make them into a client. So how do we keep them entertained? Well, the first thing is less is more. Now, what I've seen with a few people at Purpose to Abundance is because they are so eager to give as much value as possible, it's like they've got this great big pot of soup and they're just putting as much and as different things in as possible, because hopefully that is going to make it really interesting. And actually it's not, because you never get through the stuff. That it doesn't feel as if you're taking the audience on a journey in any way, and it becomes bogged down. And as I said, less is more. So that's one of the reasons why the matrix has been created. It's also been created to make sure that we get other things in that you need to have in there, not just the content. So in terms of the introduction, who you are and everything else, your credibility, what you're going to talk about, then your content and how you're going to wrap it all up. And then you're going to give them something in terms of how it could be for them. And then the fact that it's not like that. And then a vision of how it could really be, so that you do have the solution, which is your program, your signature program, what your offer is, which is the consultation, and then the instructions in terms of how to get that consultation. So that's in a nutshell. So let's break it down a little bit more.
Uh-huh.
You will notice that apart from the 9 boxes, there are little ones at the top. So where the numbers of each box are. And in the first one, it says introduction, and the second one's got trigger, 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 trigger. And then 7 is promised land, 8 frustration to light, and 9 is CTA, which is call to action. What are those there for? They're there for 2 reasons. Number 1, they are there for you to find a word that perhaps encapsulates that particular box. If it's not a word, it might be a picture, but something that triggers your mind so that you know what that box is all about and what you need to talk about. So it's kind of like an aid memoir. The other thing is that what we think about, we feel, and that starts to color our voice. So if we've got that trigger and it's triggered us into what that box is all about, it puts all of that information that's now in your head, which you know you're about to talk about, into the here and now. Because it's so important to stay in the here and now. You could have learnt this speech off by heart, but because you're not connected with it in the here and now, then it will just come out as an automatic thing. And that is not very easy for the audience. So that trigger, number 1, tells you what's coming next and has it all there in your head and keeps you in the here and now. So that's what those are all about. Now you see that there are 9 boxes. So this is what you do with For Purpose to Abundance. You have 30 minutes. And so therefore, if you divide 30 by 9, you're going to get 3 minutes plus a little bit extra. However, if you keep to the 3-minute bit, then 9 times out of 10, the whole of your thing will come in at 30 minutes. Because whatever you practice at home will always be longer when you get onto the stage. So no more than 3 minutes per box. And that's something that you can practice when you're at home. So what are the boxes? Where do we start? The first one is the introduction. So you need to tell them who you are. Yes, tell them your name again. They want to hear it from you, not just from the MC who has just introduced you. So hi everyone, my name is Caroline King. So they are now, it's the first bit in terms of you connecting with them. And it's important that you do that. Yes, okay, so they now have heard your name twice. It doesn't matter. This is about you connecting. Then you're going to tell people what you do. Yes, the MC may have said a few things, but you may therefore embellish that a little bit, as long as you keep within the time period. Then you're going to perhaps say how you do it, because this also differentiates you from anybody else who might do something similar. And this makes you stand out. And then the second half of the box, so for about a minute and a half, you want to tell people why you're doing this. And it's really important you do that. So for instance, if it's me, as you know my name. I tell people what I do in terms of speaker training. I tell them how I do it and the kind of little bits and pieces to do with that. And then I tell them the story of when I first went to an event room 7 years ago and saw international speakers and were totally horrified because they weren't really connecting with the audience and it wasn't terribly good. And that's the beginning of my reason why I do what I do now. So as you can see, that's how we structure it. So then 3 minutes later, we move on. We got box 2. You need to find your own trigger. I'm just trying to think what I put in mine. I just put, to be honest, for me, it was credibility and talk. Because I'm now looking at one that I did fairly recently, so I can give you some examples. So in the credibility, I was talking about my training, and I also talked a little bit about my past clients and some of my results. So that shows people that I am now the expert and this is what I can do. So that's in the first, say, minute to 2 minutes. in the second half of the box, you're going to now almost like signpost the rest of your talk. So you're going to tell people, this is what I'm going to talk about. Now, if you look at box 3, 4, and 5, you'll notice they all say the same thing: content, value, case study, possible activity. This is where you are going to give your value, but you're going to have 3 things or 3 points that you're going to talk about. And those are the 3 points that you're going to tell people you're going to talk about. So for example, for mine, let me get this here, I said I was going to talk about projection, the pin drop moment, and pitch. So that when I got to point 3, I then started explaining around the projection bit. Around in 4, I started talking about the pin drop moment bit. And in 5, I talked about the pitch bit. And in fact, it was in pitch bit that I actually did a little activity. And then that's basically what that is. So that's box 2 done, credibility and what you're going to talk about. So let's move on to the content. So you need to have a really firm sort of, whether it's a result for someone, a particular point you want to get across, something that is going to be of value to them. It might be an aha moment that you give the audience. Whatever it is, it needs to be something, and it needs to be valuable. You need to be able to back it up. And there are various different ways of doing it. It may well be that you give the thing that you want to talk about and talk about it first. And then you might use a client case history to show an example of it. You might want to do it the other way around. You might tell a little bit of a story around a client, why they came to you, and what they got from it. Now, you're not saying everything about the client. It pertains to what that box is all about. So you could tailor it to that. You don't need to give everybody else everything else about this client, because now it's too much. Remember, less is more. And so you might do that client bit and then give us what the result was and the learning from it that you've helped them with. So whichever way around you do it, that's fine. Now, even if you've got 30 minutes, you can probably find a little tiny activity. Now with a much longer talk, because remember, if you've got an hour, 60 minutes, you divide the 60 by 9. Now you've got much longer for each box. You could do an activity in 3, 4, and 5. But for 30, you could probably get a little activity in that doesn't take very long. But you now need to choose where you want that to go. It could be in box 3, it could be in box 4, it could be in box 5. It's whatever that little activity is and works really, really well, that you put it in wherever you want it. So we've got box 3, and for me, that was going to be about projection. So I have my slides to do with it and to do with my case study and everything else. And I move on to box 4 and I do my second point. Again, I could start with the content bit first in terms of what the learning is and then do the case study, or the other way around. Sometimes you can mix and match. You know, in the third box, you might start with the content and then do the case study. Or in the fourth one, you might do the case study and then with the content. Whatever you feel is the best way to explain that particular point. Now, for me in box 5, as I said, I put the little activity in. And when I say a little activity, I mean a little activity. Something that is only going to take maybe a minute. And there are some things that you can do.
A lot of people, they can just go and create a very long activity, and now takes your time away from doing then the call to action. And that's something which is really important, to time your activity and also to factor in a bit of extra time, so that you can consider, if, for example, like the activity that Caroline did, she had people standing up and moving around and find a partner and practicing some of the vocal skills that she was teaching. So that people standing up, finding a partner, saying goodbye to the partner, sitting down, that requires time. Most of the time is a minute or two. So you want to be able to factor in that. And as Karen is suggesting, I highly, highly recommend you use an activity, because a lot of people are used to just go to events and listen to person after person after person. But there is just as much that we can get in passively in our brain without doing anything. And if you're now you come a purpose to abundance and you are the third speaker and you had other two speakers before that spoke for 1 hour, like in total, so 30 minutes and 30 minutes, without doing any activity, then you will find that your audience will already have reached capacity. So that's why if every speaker then brings in a little activity that can get people to move, to stand up, to do something with a partner or with a small group, then you will be able to retain their attention much more. And that's what the gift is. That's what the trick is. How can you retain their attention for the longest period of time?
Absolutely. And it does make a difference. It makes a difference to the whole feel of the room, for example, when you did it. Yes, I did it, but actually James did it in the last Purpose to Abundance. He was talking about when you're doing a self-taping video, you need to look at the lens. And basically, he was saying that when you do that, you connect with the people who are watching you. So the activity was really simple. Stand up, turn to the person next to you, and what you had to do was just say who you are, what you do, and what your favorite food was to your partner. But you mustn't look at them. You must not make eye contact. And then as soon as you've done that, your partner does the same thing to you. And then it was about, how did that make you feel when you didn't get that eye contact? Because that's what happens when you don't look down the lens. And it was a really short activity. It didn't take much more than a minute in the whole thing, from getting them up to sitting them down again. But what they really got from that experience, and that's what the activity is about, the experience was, if you don't look down the lens of that camera, you can't connect with that person who's on the other end, who's watching your video. And so it's really important that that basically happens. And so yes, a little short activity, see what you can come up with. Then box 6, this is where you kind of bring together all your learning. You're kind of rounding everything up. Okay, it may well be that you might borrow a little bit of time from box 6 to put it into box 5 to do the activity. And I must admit, I did that a little bit, but so that you can balance it all right. So you bring everything together, you remind people what they've basically learnt and the roundup to this. Then what's really important is being able to give your audience an experience of how it could be for them, that after they work with you or while they're working with you, what changes that they could feel. And this is what box 7 is all about. It's the promised land. What is it that you're going to be able to get from working with you? And that's where, for example, if it's me, I take you on a journey of being on stage, what it feels like to be there. And as you're using all of your voice and your body language, what you see your audience do, what you feel your audience do, all of those things that perhaps you haven't felt or seen before. And then you get a real vision, because our minds and our brains are great for imagining. And I quite often start off with the word imagine. Imagine you're in the event room and you take them through this little bit of a journey. You've got 3 minutes to do it. And at the end of it, they go, wow, yes, if only I could do that. And then box 8, because this is also where you need to put it back to your canvas. Who is your ideal client and what problems do they have? Now, my promised land is all about the fact that most people can't speak, like I'm basically showing them how they could do it. And so for me, the first part of box 8 is about that frustration and the reality of what's actually happening to the people in the audience when they get up and speak. And it takes them back into that place. So now they've kind of got that contrast and juxtaposition between how it really could be. And therefore, if you've created value and kept them entertained, they're beginning to think, yes, this person could be the person to help me. And that's what this box is about, is to do that. Now, we all hear about selling on pain. But I think there's also something in there about, yes, reminding them of where they are, but also the vision of where they could be and that it is possible for them to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about creating that contrast. When you're selling from the stage, it's all about creating that contrast between where they are, the frustration they have, and where they want to be, and the joys of being there. And by then creating this tension, then your program is exactly what sits in the middle to be able to bring those things together. And that's when moving, I think, on the call to action, that's where the call to action becomes really effective. The call to action will not be effective if you have not created this contrast, because now they don't have any frame of, the audience doesn't have any frame of reference. And there is no, the bar has not been set. But by setting the bar, by creating this frame, then and now the call to action makes sense. And now, and probably you've experienced it where, even if you didn't do it, but when you really wanted to buy, when you were at an event, someone said something, and inside you had that feeling where, oh my God, I really need to have this. That's what they did. And that's what creates that feeling.
Yes, absolutely. And if you can make sure that reality and that vision is really relatable. So for example, in mine, I talked about if you're standing up on stage in something like Purpose to Abundance and you've given your all, and then what happens is you don't get that many people sign up for a consultation. It's actually a sign of you not actually have done your job well enough as a speaker. And then in terms of the vision bit, I then contrasted that with a client who had done something like Purpose to Abundance, got very little back from it, and then came and did some training, and then they started to get some of that promised land. And then they went out and did it again. And then suddenly they got lots of people signing up. And so therefore you're showing that you've got the vision. You're showing that you can connect with their pain and their frustration. You show that you've got an answer for it and what could happen. And that's what that box is all about. And then it's about saying, well, this is what you need to do about it. Here am I have a solution. This is what it is. And this is where I would normally talk about Ace Your Speaking game and the 3 levels that I've got. And I very quickly go through that. This is my program. This is how I basically solve your problem with you. And then I put the offer in. So this is what, and the offer is basically the consultation. This is what I'm going to offer you today, a free consultation for half an hour. And I'm going to do this consultation so I get to know about you and what your individual needs are. So I'm looking about making it really sort of to them. And so they can feel, gosh, this person really wants to help me. And then I tell them how to do it. So it may well be, there is a form coming around. You will see that I've asked for a name, an email address, and a mobile number. Can you please put it in capitals, even the email address, so it's really easy to read? And I will be contacting you over the next few days so that we can put a time together so you can have that free consultation. And there we go. You've got, here's my solution, here's my offer, this is how you do it.
And this is how you can create a speech for Purpose to Abundance, but not just Purpose to Abundance. Any other speaking gig that you're doing, you can follow this formula. Now, the call to action will be more complex or simpler. depending on the what you're selling. If you're giving a free consultation, it will be a simpler call to action, which is the one that we invite at Purpose to Abundance. While if you're selling a paid program, the call to action is more complex. So make sure that you go on the membership site, look at the Selling from the Stage program that we did. There is the one that I recorded with Caroline. There is all the breakdown of the one that I do to sell the GTeX Lifetime Membership. So you can look at the more complex one, but for Purpose to Abundance, make sure you use this matrix. Use this matrix because it will help you be clearer, be more entertaining, have the consultations that you want, get the clients that you want, and also make sure that you stick to time and nothing of your presentation feels and looks rushed. Caroline, do you have anything missing, or are we done with this training?
I think that's more or less basically it. I think you've got the overview here. We will put this speech maker matrix as an appendix in the contracts as well. So now you've got an appendix for marketing, and you've now got an appendix for putting your talk together.
Fantastic. Caroline, this is an absolute great training. We're going to put this as well in another part of the membership site because people must get used to the matrix. And to wrap up, if you also need any help and you want Caroline to work with you and creating the speech for you and also creating rehearsing it and helping you out, then there is an option for you to get an extra training with Caroline. That's going to be only £500, and with £500 you will get time with Caroline to rehearse the pitch and to create the talk, rehearse it, so then when you go, you are absolutely ready. When you go Purpose to Abundance, you're absolutely ready. She will help you go through the boxes, refine the talk, and once you have this ready, this is the beauty of this. Once you have this ready, you can use it anytime you want. You can use it for Purpose to Abundance or any other time you have another 30 minutes, 45 minutes, a 1 hour talk. You have the core of the content. You just then need to expand from it, but you know you have something that absolutely works. So this is something additional that we are doing for you, because I know that there are some of you that take speaking more seriously than others, and that they want to be the best. They want to go there and be the best speaker they can be, and also be the best in the room. If you're a bit like me, very competitive, then you also don't want just to be the best about yourself, but the best amongst others. And this will allow you to be the best, and that's only £500, only for lifetime members. It's a special deal that we have for you if you are the speakers at Purpose to Abundance. So if you want to take care to start with that and to take advantage of this opportunity, then contact Caroline at caroline@gtex.org.uk. So that's her email, caroline@gtex.org.uk. So then you can get the session arranged, and you can immediately work on standing out at Purpose to Abundance and become the master of the speech matrix. So caroline@gtex.org.uk, and then you can get this for £500. Caroline, we have the next video now that we are going to jump and record, which is going to be preparing. What do you do if you want? How can you prepare yourself in the best way for Purpose Abundance? So make sure you check the next video, so then you can be prepared. But be best prepared. Thank you. English is coming back to me now. Can be best prepared for Purpose to Abundance. See you next video.